Joining me now from New York to help us make sense of it all, science reporter for the New York Times and author of Before the Dawn, Recovering the Lost History of Our Ancestors. Nicholas Wade is here. Welcome to the Loop, Nicholas. How are you?
Thanks, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. Thanks for coming on. You recently wrote a piece for the New York Times about scientists looking to resurrect the woolly mammoth. It was a fantastic piece, but we all sort of take a step back and go, okay, well, how much of a reality is this really? I mean, will we see this in our lifetime if permission is granted and the funds are there?
Well, I think it's possible. I mean, at least for the first time, scientists are wondering if they might be able to bring it off, whereas just a few years ago, everyone had said there's no way this could happen.
What change happened in those few years, Nicholas, that actually allowed that, though?
Well, partly it's a new kind of DNA decoding machine that likes to work off little tiny bits of DNA, and as it happens, that's just the form in which you find DNA in these ancient specimens in bone or in hair. You showed that clump of mammoth hair, that's where they got the DNA from. And this new decoding machine, it's called a 454 machine, has allowed them to recreate or decipher the structure, the DNA sequence of a big chunk of the mammoth genome. And of course, that's the information for making a mammoth. So they think they could pretty easily get the full genome, and then they'd have taken a big step toward this goal.
But now, give me the cloning for dummies version of this, if you can. Like, explain this like I'm a 25-year-old cable television show host and I know nothing, because that's pretty much the reality. Is this like a baking soda volcano where you have the DNA in a beaker and you shake it up, pour it into something else, and out pops a mammoth?
Well, they hope it would be like that. I think that the first problem will be that the mammoth genome is about 4.7 billion units of DNA long. So that's far too big to synthesize, but what you could do is start with the elephant genome, which is very similar to it, and just alter the elephant genome in a few places, well, about 500,000 places, and that would convert it to a mammoth genome. And you do this inside an elephant's cell, an ordinary sort of body cell. Now, there's a new technique just been developed a few months ago for changing a body cell into an embryonic type cell, and you would put that embryonic type cell with its mammoth genome into an early elephant embryo, bring it to term in a modern living elephant, and you'd have a sort of a creature that was a hybrid, half mammoth, half elephant. And you'd hope that its sort of egg or sperm cells were of the mammoth type rather than the elephant type cell.
Okay, so then you could potentially breed a full-born mammoth then at that point.
Exactly, you crossbreed two of these creatures.
So why the woolly mammoth? Is it just, did someone throw a dart at a board and say, okay, that's the one we're going to do, or is there a particular reason why we think woolly mammoths are going to be easier to bring back?
I think it was partly that every so often you see a beautifully intact woolly mammoth in the ice, and it looks so perfect. Of course, it disintegrates as soon as you thaw it out. Mm-hmm. It looks so perfect, that's sort of given people the idea that, well, maybe we could recreate one of these things. And it just so happened this team at Pennsylvania State managed to borrow a bit of mammoth hair from a museum in Leningrad, and they got the DNA out of it.
Now, Nicholas, maybe a personal question. Have you ever seen Gattaca?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I got it on the Netflix queue, and it turns out in the future, if we start messing around with DNA, some people will be better swimmers than others, and other people can't get a job flying into outer space. I mean, that's a really bad IMDb synopsis of the movie, but what are the ethical concerns with actually messing around with DNA and perhaps bringing back cavemen or wherever this could lead? I mean, what are the concerns that are raised, and are you worried about them?
Yeah, I don't think people see too many ethical concerns in bringing a mammoth back or other extinct species like that. But the problem would come if we tried to bring back the Neanderthals, and we will be getting the full Neanderthal genome pretty soon. Now,
are you in support of a move like that, of actually bringing back Neanderthals?
Well, I'm in support of thinking about it and doing it if we can, because we would learn so much about our own history and about Neanderthals if we could create a living Neanderthal.
Well, it's a debate for another time, but it sounds equally as fascinating. Nicholas, I can't thank you so much for joining us and keeping us in the loop. We appreciate your time, sir.
You're welcome.
All right, let's go over to Olivia, who's ready to sling your box.